Hey there, Mission Warriors. Welcome back to Mission Driven, where we tackle the good, the bad, and the downright messy parts of balancing faith, family, and crushing it in business. I'm your host, and today we're diving into something that's probably making your stomach do backflips right now: self-doubt. Let's go. Are we building empires at the cost of our families, identities, or even our souls? Welcome to Mission Driven, where we believe your purpose is bigger than your productivity. Get this, according to a recent Deloitte study, a whopping 70% of professionals are walking around with imposter syndrome. You know what's even crazier? Right now, there's a Harvard Business School student sitting in their dorm room thinking they got in because someone mixed up their application with someone else's. No joke, 75% of Harvard students feel this way. And here's the real kicker. These are some of the brightest minds in the world, and they're sitting there thinking, somebody's going to figure out I'm a fraud any minute now. Sounds familiar, right? Whether you're leading a Fortune 500 company or trying to lead your kids in family devotions without them treating it like nap time, self-doubt loves to crash the party. Let me blow your mind with some brain science. When you're in that self-doubt spiral, your amygdala, that's your brain's fear center, goes into overdrive. It's like having a fire alarm that goes off every time you try to step into your leadership potential. And get this, research from the University of Michigan shows that chronic self-doubt can actually shrink your hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. It's like your doubt is literally eating away at your brain's potential. But here's where it gets interesting. A groundbreaking study in the Journal of Behavioral Science found that people who experience moderate self-doubt often make better leaders. Yeah, you heard that right. According to research from the Harvard Business Review, leaders who openly acknowledge their self-doubt are rated 21% higher in effectiveness by their teams. While your brain is going, who am I to do this? And everyone else is thinking, thank goodness someone authentic is in charge. You know who else dealt with this? Moses. Picture this. God himself shows up in a burning bush. Talk about a dramatic job offer. And Moses basically says, I think you've got the wrong number. Classic imposter syndrome moment. And Gideon? When God called him a mighty warrior, he basically replied, me? I'm not even the star player on my family's D-League team. But here's the thing that blows my mind. Your brain actually has a special party zone for self-doubt. Scientists have found that when you're doubting yourself, your anterior cingulate cortex lights up like Times Square on New Year's. And according to research from Stanford's Neuroscience Institute, this same brain region is also active during problem-solving and complex decision-making. That's right, your self-doubt might actually be a sign that your brain is working harder to make good decisions. A fascinating study from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that teams led by people who acknowledge their self-doubt are 32% more likely to speak up about problems and 41% more innovative in their solutions. Think about that for a second. But wait, it gets better. Remember that know-it-all from your office who thinks they're God's gift to PowerPoint presentations? There's actually something called the Dunning-Kruger effect that explains this. The less someone knows, the more confident they are. Meanwhile, the real experts are over here second-guessing whether they should even raise their hand in a meeting. Let that sink in for a minute. Your self-doubt might actually be a sign that you know your stuff. So what's the game plan here? Because let's be real, knowing all this doesn't automatically make self-doubt pack its bags and leave. First off, you need to flip the script on failure. A study from the Leadership Quarterly showed that leaders who view failures as learning opportunities see a 28% increase in team performance. Instead of seeing it as proof that you're not cut out for this, treat it like a cosmic game of hot and cold. Second, you've got to build your spiritual muscle. Proverbs 3:5 tells us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Notice it doesn't say trust in the Lord once you've figured everything out. It's more like, hey, you're not supposed to have it all figured out. That's my job. Here's something wild. Research from the Journal of Clinical Psychology shows that mindfulness practices can reduce self-doubt by up to 40%, and positive self-talk can boost performance by 32%. So basically, science is catching up to what Paul knew when he wrote Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He didn't say some things or the easy things, but all things. And let's talk about community for a minute. A Gallup study found that leaders with strong support networks are 63% more likely to succeed in challenging situations. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." You know what that means in practical terms? Stop trying to be a lone wolf. Get yourself some people who will remind you of your calling when self-doubt is throwing a house party in your head. According to research from the Center for Creative Leadership, 94% of top executives credit their success to having strong mentors. That's not just leadership wisdom, that's God's design for community in action. Look, if you're waiting until you feel 100% ready, you're going to be waiting forever. Leadership isn't about having it all figured out. It's about being willing to take the next step even when your knees are shaking. Remember Isaiah 41:10? Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Notice it doesn't say, do not fear, for you've got this. It says, for I am with you. That's the game changer right there. Before we wrap up, here's your mission-driven challenge for the week. Next time self-doubt shows up, probably in about 5 minutes, let's be real, I want you to thank it. Yep, you heard me right. Thank it for showing up to remind you that you're pushing your boundaries, stepping into growth, and doing something that matters. Remember, warriors, self-doubt isn't a stop sign. It's just your spiritual GPS recalculating. Keep moving forward, keep trusting God, and keep being awesome. Until next time, this is Mission Driven, where we're all about faith, family, and figuring it out together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Let's create a community of leaders who are real about their doubts, but even more real about their faith.